I want to introduce myself. I know I talk too much right now. I'm Suzanne Stroop, and I chair the Stewardship Committee. But I'm going to first kick off today's presentation by introducing Ted Smith, who's the treasurer for the Diocese of Virginia, who so greatly decided to come up and be here this morning to be a resource for us. So I'll let him start the presentation, and then we'll go through.
As you just heard, my name is Ted Smith. I'm the diocesan treasurer. And I just wanted to say a few words of thanks and welcome this morning. I wouldn't be a good diocesan treasurer if the first thing that I thanked you for was the generous pledge that St. Mary's makes to help fuel the work of the wider diocese. It is one of the largest pledges we get each year, and we're tremendously grateful for that. I'd also like to thank people of St. Mary's for the sharing that they do with the rest of the diocese, both in terms of this wonderful facility where we have many diocesan meetings and gatherings, and also for your time and participation in the work of the diocese on various committees and boards and initiatives. So we're all, the bishops and the staff and the rest of the diocese are grateful for everything you do. In terms of planned giving, again, the people of St. Mary's are really doing great work here. They came to the initial sort of seed program where we're doing some teaching to folks from parishes about the benefits of planned giving, and they have picked up the ball and run with it, and we're seeing the fruit of that this morning in this presentation. So with that, I'll hand it back over to you. And
we originally planned this event to coincide with Gathering Sunday because this is a great celebration for us. Thinking about all the different envelopes that were just put in baskets for everyone's pledge. It was exciting and fulfilling for the Stewardship Committee in particular to see people responding to the call to make the pledge. It's a whole nother level of giving that we can all talk about as planned giving, and it provides parishioners a great way to make a lasting and significant contribution to the parish via the St. Mary's Foundation. So that's what we want to talk about today, and talk about a way to recognize parishioners who do make that leap of planned giving and through the St. Mary's Legacy Circle. How many people are familiar with the St. Mary's Foundation? Is everybody familiar with it? Okay, good. So we have some board members here today, so if you have questions afterwards, please reach out to them, and I'm going to introduce them in a bit. But the St. Mary's Foundation is an organization that promotes and fosters the continued health and viability and development of St. Mary's Church. It was founded in 1982 with the proceeds of the sale of the property across the street. It's a nonprofit corporation, and it's governed by a 5-person board of directors, and I think several of the board of directors are here today, so if you could stand up maybe, or just raise your hand if you don't feel like standing up. So we have Steve Bevis, David Mayhead, Paul Wojcik, Peggy Marsh, Andrew Mara.
All five.
All five present, thank you very much. So the foundation meets regularly to determine what to do with some of the funds that we have available to sustain the parish. But again, the sole purpose of the foundation is to promote the gospel of Jesus Christ in our community and the world through the excellent work of St. Mary's and our parishioners. So they take money that is available to us to do bigger projects. One of them was significant repairs to our church structure. If you remember the point system, I'm not sure where Jane is, but she can talk more clearly about that. Also, the idea that we purchased several properties around St. Mary's at this point we're still figuring out what they will be used for, but without the foundation's assistance that would have been hard to do that work. The foundation works closely with the vestry, so the vestry can make recommendations to the foundation of things that they might need additional funding for, and the foundation will vote on it and then fund accordingly. This combination of vestry and the foundation together ensures that the vibrant and health, the vibrancy and health of this parish continues well into the future. How do we as individuals of St. Mary's help contribute to the foundation? And what we've decided to do is start something called the St. Mary's Legacy Circle. And anyone who wants to join the Legacy Circle can by making a lasting, significant contribution to the foundation, to St. Mary's via the foundation. That's typically how this is going to work. Future generations and ministries that we don't even know about right now are going to thrive because of and grow the stewardship of our parish just because of the contributions made by Legacy Circle members. Parishioners, basically it's a very simple process. So parishioners who decide to make a planned gift to St. Mary's and make their intentions known to Janet Tasker, the finance manager, you will become a member of this group. And some people in here are probably going to be retroactively added to the St. Mary's Legacy Circle. It's that simple. Some of the benefits of being in the Legacy Circle, we're going to have a membership plaque, and it's going to, their charter members are going to be announced. You just need to make sure that whatever planned gift you want to contribute is known to Janet by April 15th of this next year. Anyone, like I said, anyone who's already made a planned gift can be added to the plaque as well as a charter member. Future members will be added annually, and the Legacy Circle members will be invited to special events throughout the year with clergy and board members, so that foundation board members, to just be informed about what's happening with the parish and where the foundation dollars are currently going. It's really, I think Andrew said something that was really important during the service, that we get phone calls all the time from our universities that we attended, or from our kids' private schools, to raise money to leave our mark on the future generations that will get the same benefits that we've gotten here. We just haven't talked very clearly about the ease of doing a planned gift. And luckily, for all of you and me included, I have this great guy in my life who's a financial planner, and he is going to be able to talk to us and a tax advisor about different ways that planned gifts we can use, planned strategies we can use, not only benefit St. Mary's, but ultimately benefit you financially, personally as well. So it's a win-win situation. So I'm going to turn it over to Keegan for just a little bit. You might have known some of these strategies, but I think it's good to go through a couple of them. And
as Suzanne said, I'm Keegan Stroop, and I volunteered for this, not because I'm her husband. And there's a little bit of, it says current gift and long-term plan gift. These strategies can be used either way. Oftentimes, a contribution, for example, of securities that you've held for a long time that have appreciated can not only be used to satisfy your pledge, but you can use that to satisfy something that would be more for the Legacy Circle, a more sustaining gift. And that strategy basically lets you take advantage of the current tax situation. I will say, look, all of these, you should talk to your personal tax advisor, your CPA. I'm a CPA, CFP, so I know these rules. I will say, legislation is uncertain, so who knows what is going to happen. We did a lot of planning at the end of last year, anticipating a bunch of things that have yet to happen. So keep that in mind as you look at these. But the strategies are cash gift. Obviously, that's what a lot of us do with our pledges. I will say, just a little point of clarity, if you put cash in the plate, the IRS really doesn't like that, so writing checks or using our new online system is probably recommended. But you can use that for the Legacy Circle, or you can use it for your pledge. As I just talked about, you can give away qualified appreciated stock that you've held longer than a year. That should help you qualify for avoiding the capital gains. You can do the same with other assets, whether it's private companies, etc. It's a little more confusing. One technique that actually I've used a handful of times with a bunch of clients is the IRA qualified charitable distribution. And that really lets those of you who are already required to take distributions from your IRAs to instead direct up to $100,000 to a charity, St. Mary's, of your choice, and then you get to count that for your distribution and not have to include it in your income. Now, you don't get the charitable deduction, but overall, it generally works to your favor. Some other things that you can do, obviously you can use your will, your estate planning. name St. Mary's as one of your beneficiaries, whether that's a dollar amount or a percentage of your estate, and receive a charitable contribution for that. There's something that I've actually implemented a couple times with clients, but I doubt we have done this yet at St. Mary's. But if somebody was interested, I'm sure we could figure out how to do that. And that's a charitable gift annuity. And the way that works is you give some money to St. Mary's, they pay you an annuity over a period of time. There's a charitable contribution component that comes with that, but it's really letting the church use the money while you're taking the deferral of what you're getting. You can name St. Mary's as a beneficiary of your life insurance policy if you feel like you've satisfied your other family wealth planning goals. That's a great way to deal with some estate tax issues if you need to. A couple other strategies that are not on there also relate to trust, a charitable remainder trust or a charitable lead trust, where you can direct when St. Mary's gets some of your legacy assets. And oftentimes, we'll use those, we'll use things like a donor advised fund, again, not up there, but there are, if you have a unique one-time large income realization event, you may want to front load and get all your charitable contributions to match that income. Well, you can employ these different strategies, so you get that deduction today, but can also fund your charitable disbursements over a period of time. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this and be smart from a financial and tax as well as from an estate planning perspective. So I would just encourage you, if anybody has questions about any of these, I'm happy to talk to you or your CPA or your advisor. And if you have questions that you want to ask me, I'm happy to field those. But I guess my point is there are lots of ways that we can not only fund St. Mary's today, but fund St. Mary's for the future. Turn it back over to Suzanne, who I want to thank for, 3 years of doing this effort.
So I'm going to keep keeping up though, because in case people have questions, but I think that, and Andrew too, you had wanted to speak specifically about, I'm assuming that most people do have their wills up to date, but that is one of the covenants of baptism, is that we make sure that our kids are taken care of.
But rubrics are either permissive or they are absolutely prescriptive. So in other words, a rubric might say, you may do such and such. Or the rubric in the prayer book will say, you shall do such and such. It's very interesting, but after the section in the prayer book for Thanksgiving for the birth of a child is the rubric around planned giving. And it says, the minister of the congregation is directed. It can't be any stronger than that. From time to time, to tell the congregation of the need for all parents to make wills for the provision of their children, and when it is possible, for the bequest of charitable gifts for religious and other uses. Remember that one of the things that happens, and as I see Master Bowen being rocked over there, I'm sure that your will has been updated to include him in your purpose. Because remember, the last thing you want is for the courts to decide who's going to look after your kids. I mean, God forbid there's a tragedy. But, same way, it's very strong. You and I are created for eternity for God. And you and I are to live that way now. So rather than kind of holding it all in now, let it go. Because we're well taken care of in Jesus Christ. I'm all done.
And then that leads me to something you all have in front of you. This is a very beginning brochure on planned giving and the St. Mary's Legacy Circle. It's going to be updated a little bit. But one thing that's included in there is the enrollment form, which you're going to see is pretty basic, because St. Mary's is not asking for we're not asking for the nature of the gift or the amount of the gift. We could definitely give you suggestions, but the thing is, the gift, as Church was saying, you might not know what the gift could be now with whatever's been put in your will, but this is good information. We just want to know that a gift has been made in St. Mary's name. So this piece of paper serves at this point as the enrollment form to enter into the Legacy Circle. And again, all you need to do is contact, number one, your financial advisor, and then two, Janet. I like this prayer for purposeful planning and giving, and I just thought it would be a good way to sort of end the presentation and then open it up for any questions or comments or ideas that other people have used. So let's pray. Gracious and loving Father, you call us to be stewards of your abundance, the caretakers of all you entrusted to us. Help us to use your gifts wisely and teach us to share them generously. May our faithful use of these resources bear witness to the love of Jesus Christ in our lives. Thank you all.